books that have been out recently.
Yeah.
He actually does a better job explaining in his position. He's not a bitchy whiner about it. Let's go to the second part and talk more about atheism.
Really what had happened is that we, you know, just through the plot of the story of the last one, we had sent Cartman to the future. So we're like, dude, we just sent Cartman to the future at like the end of a show. Like, how can we just end that? And we were like, we have to do a part 2. And in a way, we were super bummed because we were like, that means we have to do 2 parts of talking about atheism, which we had realized we didn't want to really talk about anymore. And so, but we also, I don't know why, but we just kept saying otters riding ostriches. Ostriches should be riding ostriches in the future, and that's really all we had going.
That's about all we had, yeah. And we had this Buck Rogers beginning, which is pretty great.
I used to love Buck Rogers. When me and my dad would watch Buck Rogers every week.
I like this little costume that Cartman's in when he, what's the chick's name that's in the...
Wilma. Yeah, what was her name? Wilma something.
What the
Erin Gray was the actress.
There, that one. That shot. That's amazing. All this shit's happened. You play chess with otters.
Yeah, I mean, we were stoked on that idea. We're like, let's go to the future and then just say that tons of stuff has happened and you missed it all. And that's why we called this like Go God Go Part, what, 12 or 13, something like that.
Yeah, Part 12.
But actually, this opening scene I think is really cool. It's very cinematic, especially the fact that we, you know, just did it the week before.
It's very Star Wars. I just want to drop you in someplace.
Yeah.
And there's talking otters. I mean, who the fuck doesn't like talking otters?
How can you not be behind otters on ostriches? And then, so, again, you know, it was kind of like the only point, you know, we had tons of points we wanted to make about atheism. We had tons of arguments with Dawkins' book. We had tons of things we wanted to say. But when you're doing a show like this, it's like you got to just kind of hone it down to sort of one idea. And the one idea was just basically like the one thing that Dawkins had basically asserted in his book was if we got rid of religion, the world would be peaceful and there'd be no war and there'd be
not as much war,
and it's just ridiculous because it's like, you know,
our whole point is people are going to fight no matter what,
and especially for an evolutionist to think that, because an evolutionist of anyone should realize that that's how life works, is it wars upon itself in one way or another. It eats itself, it fights itself, and that's how biology works, you know. And so it was really just sort of that assertion that we wanted to rip on, and also the assertion that basically some of the super intelligent scientist people can be really retarded when it comes to just sort of common sense.
Yeah.
And that's why Dawkins ends up, you know, having sex with Garrison, not having no idea that it's actually he was a man.
Right. Because he can be so smart, Richard Dawkins, but so dumb. It's like
so dumb in the way he presents himself. You're like, dude, don't you realize that's only going to make people mad and not any support?
His big assertion and Sam Harris's big assertion is that atheists are marginalized in America. That like an atheist can't get elected public office. And you're like, well, the only people, if you mention atheism to most Americans, they think about the guy who wanted under God out of the Declaration of, the Pledge of Allegiance, and Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, who are both bitchy whiners. And you're like, well, no wonder you guys can't get elected.
Right.
You know, you got to think about...
Have some common sense.
Yeah, politics isn't about truth. It's about, you know, presenting some big smiley face guy. That, you know? So...
I really loved in this, I remember we pretty quickly wrote the phone call section where Cartman calls back and is trying to get people to not let him freeze himself. I think that stuff's really funny. But also the animation in that, I mean, if you look in the background, there's just always tons of stuff going on. And the look of this whole show is pretty amazing. The animators did an amazing job in a week. I mean,
it is. It's unbelievable. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's good.
It may be the future for you, but I can't hook up anything to a float screen without at least a laser 7 output.
You gotta be me! Science